You're now locked onto the Pulse Radio Show with Marcus Myers, X-Tina, and Ken Pyle. And on the 1 and 2s, Big Red the DJ. It's the Pulse Radio Show, baby. Believe that.
Well, Mr. Voice, he don't talk the talk. Mr. Researcher some says.
You know that voice never gets old.
I only do that just to evoke that reaction.
Yeah, Christina loves that.
What a cringe!
It's great to always have guests for Researching Some Sense. Yeah, and I think that these two ladies are really doing what needs to be done to make change in Barbados when it comes to health and empowering the youth.
We're seeing them all over the place, all over the media.
Yeah.
Some posts, I just seen a bunch of school kids screaming.
I'd like to mention one is a senator, and that sounds really fancy.
It is.
But without further ado, I'd like to present the crystals. We have
K and C.
Yes, we have health consultant Miss Crystal Boyer.
Mrs. Crystal Boyer.
Hello. Crystal Boyer. And we also have our government senator, Dr. Crystal Haynes.
Yes. Hello, Barbados.
And you're representing the Healthy Caribbean Coalition.
We are.
Okay, so that sounds fancy. So you have to tell us a bit about what that is.
What the Healthy Caribbean Coalition is. So the Healthy Caribbean Coalition is a coalition of over 100 organizations within the Caribbean, from diabetes to cancer to any organization out there trying to do better to make a better Caribbean. So the Healthy Caribbean.
So I mean, we've recently been seeing the efforts of the Cancer Society. Would that fall under this
the Healthy
same
Caribbean
initiative?
Yes, they are a member of the Healthy Caribbean Coalition. So what we are doing on behalf of the Healthy Caribbean Coalition is a Healthy Schools initiative, where Crystal, myself, the Heart and Stroke Foundation, the members of the Diabetes Foundation, and a whole set of volunteers are going into all of these secondary schools.
I've got the children screaming.
But from what the message that you're sending to the children, it is one of those ones that it is hard but necessary to take in. Dr. Haynes, tell us what is the reception like when you're telling these children, moderation and things, the bad word moderation.
Right.
What is the response to that?
Well, I'll start by prefacing what I have to say with just stating some facts. Okay, so the reality is that 1 in 3 children in the Caribbean is either overweight or obese. And this is really setting them up to have issues as they get older. They can face challenges like developing type 2 diabetes, hypertension, cardiovascular disease, and premature death. So what science has shown us is that if we can avoid children from becoming obese to start with, then it will reduce the likelihood of them having to face those challenges as they get older. And that's really what we're about. We're fighting to save a generation.
I'm not gonna lie though, 1 in 3 sounds like a lot.
It is a lot. That's a lot.
You know what is surprising? I think our perceptions of normal are also a bit different. And when we speak about childhood obesity, we are referencing it in scientific terms. So not just randomly assessing some person based on
appearance.
Their physical appearance.
Right,
They're actual scientific parameters that we have to establish. And World Obesity Day was just a week ago, and this year the theme was actually about reducing obesity stigma. So we're not going into schools, doing this in a way that is going to make children who might feel a way about their physical appearance that they're doing something wrong or that they're failing. It's really about health and wellness and just sensitizing the children. But what's great, we're actually doing it in a really interactive and fun way.
Yeah.
So
the team consists of, several people, Crystal and myself, and there's quite a few volunteers. But to start the session, we actually get them into a little bit of a fun, interactive game where we throw a bunch of beach balls into the hall, and the children actually go kind of crazy.
I know, right?
Did you bring any? You
should have brought some
and they actually have to keep them up in the air for about a minute. And we have DJ Dawn, and that hypes up the assembly. So before they even come into assembly, the music is blazing throughout the school, and that creates quite a bit of hype.
I can imagine.
And then we play a game with them. So after we do a little bit of a talk and tell them about, you know, what we're here for and about diabetes and obesity, etc., Crystal and I and the other volunteers, we do a little bit of a game where we ask the children to come on stage in 2 teams, Team C and Team K. There's a little bit of
I've actually won every game.
Okay. Team C has won all the games so far.
20-0.
No, 2-0. And they have to guess how much sugar and carbohydrates are within certain sweetened drinks.
Okay.
And it's actually quite alarming. You know, a lot of the drinks that they do drink, red fruity, they would, you know, their guess is way off. You know, a bottle of red fruity has close to 70 grams of sugar in it.
And the thing about it is that it is actually listed on the bottle.
Well, and it makes it hard to read. And, you know, a typical day's servings, the recommended amount is 25 grams of added sugar. If you drink 1 bottle of fruity with close to 70, you can't have any sugar for the rest of the week. And that is what children are consuming. And children are consuming 9-10 of those a day. Wow. But we actually find the response quite enlightening. Yeah. You know, children are, when we go up on stage and we're telling them what's in these drinks, they're like, you know, completely shocked. After, you know, assembly, they come up to us, they want to learn more. You know, and I think the big message is reduce it, but don't cut it out. When you tell young people to stop, they actually stop listening. They do. We want them to reduce slowly, you know, cut 1 bottle,
you see,
cut 2.
The thing about it is that you just mentioned that the recommended use is 25 grams of sugar, yet the bottle has about 70. But the bottle actually says 2.5 servings, but realistically, no one drinks
no one drinks half a bottle.
Right.
So true.
No one drinks
So the serving is, I shouldn't call it the serving, but the bottle is made to basically get people to drink more than the actual serving.
So a lot of children actually do pick up the bottle and they're like, but Mom, it says 34. And I'm like, it says, you know, two servings. So they actually don't, they're not, and I think the big thing is you just reduce the amount of sugar that you're taking in on a day. And that does go a long way. We're not, you know, maybe have 1 fruity a week instead of 9 a day.
Well,
9 a day.
Let's talk about that for a minute.
I love fruity.
Because Dr. Haynes, you were under fire by the Bajan public relentlessly for a comment that you made. Well, no, it was a full speech that you made.
Headline.
Right, a newspaper headline which said, "Cut out macaroni pie and put in a sauce, Bajans are told."
Right.
And your name is plastered all over that. And they said in Barbados today that you said to cut out macaroni pie and put in a sauce. And the comments, which are still there, are hilarious. So can you tell us about that experience?
I actually haven't had the courage to go look at the comments yet, but I was aware of the backlash that that headline caused.
I read all of them.
Right. And you know,
hilarious.
People are well within their right to eat whatever they feel like. Our aim really is to educate people.
Yeah.
So at least
bring awareness.
Exactly. So at least if you're eating something, you're doing it with the awareness, well, I know what I'm putting into my body and I know what this can cause.
Right.
You can make that decision for yourself.
Is that what you actually said though? Did you actually say cut out macaroni pie?
For people who actually read the article, they would have realized that I actually did not say that. Yeah. The context of what that headline took it from, I was at a point in first of all, I was speaking at a conference where there were a number of guests from across the region. The U.S. ambassador to Barbados spoke, the ambassador from Guyana spoke, the ambassador from Cuba spoke, and it was really a forum where different countries were sharing their experience as far as non-communicable diseases go. And for the Barbadian context, I was given the Barbadian context. What I was referencing was that there are certain cultural norms, including dietary norms, that may be contributing to our disease burden.
Well,
so that was where it was mentioned. Yeah. And what I said was that we need to re-examine these norms. I did not actually say not to eat salsa pie. And it's something that I don't think I'll ever live down when I see anybody say, "Wait, you're the girl with the sauce."
This is my semi-controversial opinion, right? This is my semi-controversial opinion. I don't even think it's controversial in the first place. What is wrong with if you did say cut them out? Exactly. Honestly, There is nothing necessarily good about macaroni pie unless you're talking about the temporary satisfaction of eating something that tastes good. But the long-term effects, it is a burden on you, it's a burden on the entire country. Cut it out.
Yeah, well, I personally believe in moderation. I will admit, occasionally at a family function or something, I will have pie. And I don't want to get judged for having pie when I go out. I will say that right now.
I have pie when I go out.
They'll take a picture of you with your pie or
I do not eat Souse, but that's a personal choice. But I just want people to be aware of what they're putting into their bodies so that when they do consume these things, they do it with the knowledge of knowing, well, I'm not going to do this more than once a week, or I'm not going to do this more than once a month, or this is something that I need to avoid altogether.
I mean, there are ways of actually doing what is cultural to us, whatever island you're from, and eating what is cultural healthier. So you don't have to add all of the cheese. You don't have to use...
Oh, but I need my cheese, though.
You can grate some carrot in there. You can use less cheese. You can use, whole wheat pasta or cauliflower. So it's sticking within our cultural norms, and I don't think saying don't do it completely, because I think people would say, people tend to tune out when you say that, but it's reducing, it's moderation, it's cutting back, it's having one smaller serving, that sort of stuff.
Listen, I go in the whole 9 yards. If I'm doing something, I'm doing it. Right? I want 2 squares of pie, please. Right?
But then you can't have that red fruity as well.
But oh my gosh, you can imagine the pie and the fruity.
The bad thing about me is that the good thing about me is that anytime I do that, I have a very guilty conscience. Next morning, I in the gym, I high off coffee, and I am doing my cardio. But a lot of people don't have that balance. They don't balance it out.
Right.
So would you still recommend people getting pudding and sauce once a week, as they usually do?
I personally... It's my view as a physician that doing it once a week is too much.
Yeah, once a week is still a lot.
And it's not a matter of being anti-pork or anti-whatever. We're talking about salt content. A lot of the cuts of the pork tend to be fattier. There are people who will have lean souse. That is perfectly fine. I'm talking about your traditional souse that we know is super salty. You're eating pig ears and tail and all these things that are just super fatty, and it's just
ears and tail, boy.
But I would say maybe once a month if you had to, but I think every weekend definitely is too much.
I have to admit, the funniest part of that article, the only thing that showed me was how many people do not go to the doctor. The doctors are paid to tell you what to eat and what not to eat. I mean, people were appalled. How dare she tell me to cut back on my macaroni pie? How dare she?
Did you see the meme of me being kicked off of a cliff?
No.
It became a meme, yo.
I'll put it on the Pulse page. That is hilarious.
Chucked off a cliff.
That is so funny. But you don't get that response from the children. The children.
Oh no, they're totally receptive.
Bless their hearts. Their parents not so much.
To be honest, that just goes to show how hard it is to create change around diet and physical activity and stuff like that. It is generally hard. It is ingrained in our society. So these little things that the Healthy Caribbean Coalition are doing, and even what Dr. Haynes has said, it's important because
you can call me Crystal.
Okay, all right. I mean, it is impacting our society. The workplaces are struggling. People are struggling. The doctors' offices are struggling. The hospital is struggling. I mean, our country, our region, the entire world is burdened by obesity, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease. The deaths are insane. So it really is our responsibility as individuals, as homes, as schools, countries, to take the responsibility to cut back in whatever way you see fit. I mean, some people want to go stricter with it than others, but I think, once you cut back and once you make an effort to educate yourself and educate your community, that does go an extremely long way.
Speaking of educate, I mean, you're actually taking the initiative to go to the youth. Yeah. So you're ensuring that the next generation is well equipped with the knowledge to know exactly how to prolong their lives and have a good, healthy life.
Yeah. And they're eager to learn. So,
seeing that you're here, I always tell my group chat who's coming on, and they always give me questions to ask.
Okay.
Right?
Here we go.
What are your thoughts on fat shaming? Now, I don't think anybody should be shamed for whatever weight they are. But the person in my group chat was saying you shouldn't be proud of everything. Because why would you want to be proud of being lesser than you can be, being unhealthier than you could possibly be if you'd made the changes? What would you say to people that say something like that? Fat
shaming falls into a category that I would call discrimination. Yeah. Discrimination really has no place in a modern society, be it on gender, sexual orientation, weight. Yeah. It really has no place, and I don't have time for it. When I talk to you about childhood obesity, we're talking health, we're talking wellness, we're talking about living longer and living healthier. I'm not going to get into any discussion about how someone looks.
Yeah, because one thing that, for example, my friends, and males especially, males are very insensitive sometimes. And they would say something like, you know, you're getting overweight, you're getting big, man, you're like eating enough sauce, eating enough thing.
That's Bajans generally.
Yeah, Bajans generally do that. But my friend was saying that when he was told that before, it made him lose weight. And I was kind of like, well, even so, you can't say that for everybody. You can't make a blanket statement.
It can definitely contribute to depression and lots of other negative things that can then compound the issue.
Yeah, because I was actually going to say, well, it's actually a Caribbean thing. Me and my friends talk about that all the time. Like, the first thing somebody will always say, you put no weight, man, you get big, you get real small. It's hi. Good morning. It's like, that's generally like the first thing. And it's interesting that our Caribbean society is like that, but then if you tell them cut down on the pie, it is death to you. So it's like, which one you want? Like, which side are you on, you know?
When you all go into these schools and speak to these kids, do you find a difference in reaction from the boys versus the girls, or is it all usually...
That's a good question.
First of all,
in my mind, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but in my mind, I think women are more health conscious. That's my impression.
Well, our game that we play in these schools is actually an interactive game, and we have prizes. I haven't noticed a gender difference in terms of whether more boys or girls participate, but usually it would skew to the younger kids. They're more like, hey, I'm willing to run up on stage. The fifth and the sixth formers are sitting in the back like, oh no. You guys can hear water balls.
You should give a prize. Do you give a prize at the end?
We do.
And they still say no?
Hello, we definitely give prizes. But yeah, as Crystal says, it's the younger kids. I find after assembly, the older kids come and talk to you one-on-one. They ain't going on stage unless a teacher tells them they must. But no gender.
Think about it, Crystal. Let's go back to when we were 6 or at QC. You can really see us as
I'm at QC tomorrow, actually.
Oh, really? Good. And I saw you guys at St. Michael's as well. So that was really nice.
We had our launch here October 1st. Minister of Health came out. Right. So that was tons of fun.
That's good stuff. No, I imagine we'd be sitting there.
No, I would.
We could be in the common room instead of like at this. Please. But no, I think this is a really good initiative though, and it's fun. And as you said, once you bring the DJ out, I know how it is in school. Every time you see a DJ, everybody's just ready to go, And,
exactly.
And it seems fun. So it's a good, fun way to learn. And as you said, nobody just wants to be preached at. I guess like when we were younger, you would more have like a guidance class or something where they're on the board showing you some video from
guidance class, boy.
Some video for any states from like 1994 that you're like, this is stock photos, So this is definitely a great change.
Yeah. That's good.
Well, Dr. Haynes and Mrs. Boyer, I really do appreciate what you're doing. I find it very difficult to talk to the youth sometimes. So I guess it's the delivery is something that I really would like to learn. And parents in general will learn from you and how you can really kind of like put the medicine in the candy a bit and kind of teach them, about moderation, that bad word that I kind of run from too sometimes. What is something that you would want to tell
I actually like the word moderation, because moderation means that you can still live.
You can do it.
You still live.
It's just in moderation.
But I want 4 scoops of ice cream, not 2. You see? But still, moderation though. Moderation.
That is not moderation.
Okay, tell us what is one thing you would want Bajans to know in general, and this is just for all demographics listening right now.
Well, I'm going to do a plug here because we're doing this on behalf of the Healthy Caribbean Coalition, and this is really to get our heads of government and to really implement policy that makes change. Yes, we can do it on our own, but it's an entire societal movement from the individual all the way up. So if you want to learn more, you can go to www.toomuchjunk.org and sign the petition. Your voice matters. Whether it's you're talking one-on-one to an individual or you're signing a petition to make great change, I think that that's what this is all about. You do what you can at your level, and you just really do your best and moderate. And
TooMuchJunk.org.
Yes.
Right.
That's a really nice domain name. I like that.
You should go sign. I'm going to go check and see if you sign.
One last question before you guys go, right? So it just hit me. Do you think that the soft drink tax that was implemented worked?
If it worked, I think this is a very hard question to answer.
No, the reason why I asked is because of the amount of
I don't think it really meant work, but is it a deterrent?
Was it effective?
I think the soft drink tax is effective if it's high enough. I then think that the money from that tax should be redirected towards helping this same
health initiatives in general.
Yes. Going straight towards the chronic disease issue, the NCD issue. But I think it is an attempt. At the same time, healthy foods needs to be made cheaper.
Yes.
So I know the Minister of Health and Wellness has spoken about a basket of healthy foods.
Right.
So making certain foods more accessible whilst at the same time
I mean, a pack of ramen is like $1.
I thought
I say, and when you get hungry, right?
That's
you look
one
at
of the first things you want to go to, and it's so salty, and I'm guilty because sometimes I'm like, oh gosh, I just want something salty.
I went to the supermarket. I'm not gonna call the supermarket's name, and I saw a mango. I took this mango. Said, this mango looks so good. And when the woman put it on the scale, right? The mango cost $8. A local mango.
Not like you need to go by Ryan.
It was a big.
I'm going to take his mangoes.
Yeah, Ryan, very serious.
I know, Ryan.
I can't take that. I can't take that.
$8?
But this was a huge Julie mango, but I mean, I still wasn't expecting.
No mango is big enough $8.
I will agree to a certain extent, but you have to shop around a little bit. So for me, what I found when I need fresh produce, I will not go to a supermarket. Farmers co-ops. There are lots of glitzy farmers markets, which might be a little too expensive, but just go down to, let's say, like Cheapside or Barhaven, where you can literally meet the people who grew this stuff straight from the ground. I mean, kitchen gardens take nothing. I have aunts who have cute little planter boxes and they grow their parsley and their thyme and little cherry tomatoes and stuff. So there are things that
those
you
seem
could
to be
do.
popular now, the cherry tomatoes especially.
So
I mean, there's that basic stuff which is great, and you can go to a roadside person and get something for good prices, but then I guess is when we want to get all bougie and want to like make our shakes and your quinoa and stuff like that, and then
Condoms that cost $50.
No, like it's crazy. Like you would go like try to get your healthy thing on, and then you're spending almost $200, and it's just like that's all you bought. You didn't buy any real groceries yet. So I mean, it is very hard, but that is a probably like the next step we must go towards, trying to see how we can make those things more accessible.
So toomuchjunk.org, check it out, and you said sign, right?
Sign the petition.
I'll go on there.
We need as much names as
Cliff
possible.
now sent me a picture of mango. Shout out to Cliff.
Mrs. Boyer and Dr. Haynes, this is not the last time you'll be here. We will need you coming back to to spread your knowledge and give us some information. And thank you for coming.
This was tons of fun. Thanks for having us.
No problem at all.
We're at the show pictures of the mango.